So what this gathering is really about, it's a seminar that teaches allowing within the magnificent constraints of law of attraction. Law of attraction says that which is likened to itself is drawn. Well, if that's true, then that means this large part of you, this source energy part of you, this eternal part of you who's been around a lot longer than this you that you think is you, this eternal part of you, this evolving part of you, this pulsing God force energy that is you, that radiates from the vortex that we are calling the vortex. We know it seems a little odd. I went to a seminar and this man called his wife Abraham. It was very strange. And she waved her arm around and pointed at the floor and called it a vortex. This vortex of creation, where the larger part of you is calling you incessantly, calling you. Because law of attraction says that you are likened to it. You gave birth to what it is. And so you are predominantly it. But when you find some thought in your physical format that you introduce into your vibrational frequency because you're observing it or because you learned it from your parents, as you offer that vibrational frequency that is not resonant or in harmony with, for example, Source loves. The larger part of you loves. The larger part of you is love. When you find someone that you decide to not like or to abhor or to hate, then you introduce a frequency that has you cross current of who you really are. Now you have the right to do that. And the upside of it is when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So it is accurate to say that the more in your physical body you find things to hate, the more you love from your non-physical perspective. Because Source always finds what you are looking for, even when you are looking at the opposite of it. Because that's what this balanced environment in which you are creating is all about. There are two ends of that vibrational stick always. And when you know what you don't want, the Source part of you knows precisely what you do want. But that's the reason that we started with you, as we did this morning, that we know that you don't really know what you want unless you are willing to feel your way into the vortex on subject after subject. And you can tell when you find that feeling, when goosebumps bubble over you, or when you well up with love, or when you find yourself excited about thinking about something, when you feel those kinds of resonant moments, you can know that in those moments, you know exactly what you want. You're right on the vibe of them. You can feel them every time. But if you're using words, if you're using surveys, tell me what you want. If you're using the opinions of others, if you're trying to do what's most popular, if you're trying to please something, anything outside of you, then you are off track. And we know it is annoying to try to follow those fickle and often bogus announcements of what you should do. For heaven's sakes, if you were like most people, you'd be in the parking lot right now. You would have obeyed. You would have left the building. You would have left the building only to discover that some kid on floor 6 pulled the alarm. Dark hair, red shirt. "12 years old, and right now he's in the swimming pool." But when you know who you are, when you have practiced feeling what you're feeling, when you are in vibrational alignment with who you are, when you go there deliberately, then what happens is you begin to trust this resonant feeling. And when you know, in other words, if there were danger in this building, we would have known before the alarm went off, and you would have known too. In other words, when you're in sync with who you really are, you can feel when you're moving into something that's not a vibrational match. And we're not just talking about walking into buildings that are on fire or getting on airplanes that are destined to crash into the Pacific. We're talking about walking into conversations that are not a vibrational match to who you are. We're talking about walking into conversations and practicing the vibration until that vibration is easy to come by. We're talking about being aware of who you really are and playing every moment in your waking state life against who you really are and reaching for the true depth of resonance of who you are. And as you begin to do that more and more, what you begin to discover is that in your more consistent alignment with everything that you put into your vortex, you become such a consistent cooperative component that as the universe is yielding to you, as the universe is yielding to you as it always does when you're in alignment with your desire, it feels to you as if you are just so going with the flow. So we've been saying for a while that here's this vortex where the larger part of you is and everything you want is. And law of attraction has already assembled all of the cooperative components. All of the cooperative components. The question that this workshop wants to ask and answer with you is, are you one of those cooperative components? And the answer is, if you feel frisky, yes. If you're feeling joyful, yes. If you feel pensive, no. If you're dreading or fearing or worrying, no. If you're angry, no, you're not a cooperative component. So think about what it feels like when an inspired thought occurs. You know what that is? That's you close enough to the vortex that the vortex takes you in and you get an emotional glimpse of the solution that you've been seeking. And that's really what we want to help you come to the place of understanding and then immediately beginning to achieve all day, every day. Because friends, there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. If this time-space reality has the wherewithal to have inspired the desire within you, it has the wherewithal to deliver the goods. We just want you to be more excited about finding the feeling of the vortex than you are about the goods of the manifestation. If we can convince you that it's all about the way it makes you feel, then the manifestations will begin to roll in. But then you will really have it.